Hello and welcome back to WordVO English Tips channel. Title: The Art of Being Alone, A Journey Within. In the modern world, solitude has almost become a forgotten art. People are surrounded by an endless hum of notifications, digital chatter, and the pressure to stay visible, connected, and productive. Yet beneath the surface of all this noise, there lies an undeniable truth: that the ability to be alone and to be content in that aloneness is one of the highest forms of emotional intelligence. To be alone does not necessarily mean to be lonely. In fact, solitude, when chosen consciously, can be profoundly nourishing. It offers a rare opportunity to hear one's own thoughts without the distortion of external voices, to rediscover what truly matters, and to align one's inner world with outer reality. It's in solitude that many of humanity's greatest minds, writers, artists, philosophers, have produced their finest work. They sought silence not as an escape, but as a fertile space for reflection and creation. However, in today's hyper-connected age, being alone is often misunderstood as a weakness or a social failure. People tend to equate solitude with sadness, as though the absence of company must imply a deficiency. But that belief reveals more about our culture's dependency on constant validation than about the human condition itself. We fear solitude because it forces us to confront ourselves, our fears, our flaws, our unfulfilled desires. In the quiet, there is no distraction, no applause, no escape, and that can be terrifying. Yet, if we dare to stay in that silence long enough, something magical begins to happen. The restless chatter of the mind gradually softens. Thoughts that once seemed chaotic begin to arrange themselves into clarity. Emotions that were buried under the rush of daily life rise to the surface, asking to be acknowledged, healed, or released. In solitude, you learn to observe yourself without judgment. You begin to recognize the patterns of your thinking, the roots of your insecurities, and the quiet strength that lies beneath your surface identity. This process is not always comfortable. Solitude demands courage, the courage to sit with discomfort, to face your own reflection without filters, and to accept yourself as you are. But through this very discomfort, personal growth becomes possible. You start to realize that peace is not something the world can give you, it's something you must cultivate within. The paradox is that once you become truly comfortable in your own company, your relationships with others also deepen. You stop clinging to people out of fear of being alone. You stop seeking approval as a substitute for self-acceptance. Instead, you begin to share from a place of wholeness rather than need. You give love freely, not as a transaction, but as an expression of abundance. True solitude, therefore, is not isolation. It's connection with your most authentic self. When you spend time alone intentionally, you start to perceive the world differently. The simple things, a quiet morning, a cup of tea, a walk beneath the trees, begin to reveal layers of beauty that were once invisible in the rush of daily existence. The world becomes less of a battlefield and more of a mirror, reflecting your own inner state. But cultivating solitude in a distracted world requires discipline. It may mean stepping away from social media for a few hours each day, sitting quietly without music or screens, or journaling your thoughts without editing them. At first, the silence might feel awkward, even unbearable. Your mind will resist, craving stimulation. Yet if you persist, you'll begin to discover an inner spaciousness, a kind of mental clarity that feels like coming home. Many spiritual traditions speak of solitude as a gateway to enlightenment. The Buddha found his awakening under a tree in silence. Poets like Rumi and Tagore wrote of solitude as a sacred dialogue between the soul and the divine. Even in modern psychology, solitude is recognized as essential for creativity, emotional regulation, and mental well-being. It allows the mind to rest, to process experiences, and to generate new insights. Ironically, It is through solitude that we learn to belong, not just to others, but to life itself. When you can be alone without feeling lonely, you stop seeing yourself as separate from the world. You start to sense that the same intelligence that beats your heart also moves the stars, that the same stillness that exists between thoughts also exists in the spaces between moments. You realize that you are part of something vast, something sacred, something whole. In a society that celebrates speed, noise, and visibility, choosing solitude is a quiet act of rebellion. It is saying, I will not let the world dictate my peace. It is a refusal to measure one's worth by likes, views, or comments. It is an affirmation that being, in itself, is enough. Of course, solitude is not an excuse to withdraw completely from human connection. We are social creatures, and relationships are vital to our growth. But balance is key. The healthiest relationships are those that allow both closeness and space, where two individuals meet as complete beings, not as halves searching for completion. Solitude gives us that completeness. The next time you find yourself alone, resist the urge to fill the silence. Don't reach for your phone. Don't turn on the TV. Just sit. Listen to the quiet. Feel your breath. Notice your thoughts drifting like clouds. There's no need to control them. Just observe. With time, you'll begin to sense a subtle shift. The silence that once felt empty begins to feel full of awareness, presence, and peace. Ultimately, solitude teaches you one of life's most profound lessons, that happiness does not depend on circumstances, people, or achievements. It arises naturally when the mind stops running after what it doesn't have and starts appreciating what is. When you no longer fear being alone, you discover a freedom that cannot be taken away, the freedom to simply be. And perhaps that is the greatest art of all. Not the art of speaking, performing, or achieving, but the art of being, alone, awake, and alive. If you enjoyed this story, take a deep breath right now and spend just one quiet minute with yourself. No phone, no music, just you and your thoughts. You might be surprised by what you discover within. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more advanced English passages that not only build your language, but also your mind.